Hey everyone, welcome back to Vintage or Tacky. My name is Cora, and today I'm going to be doing a wear test with MAC Studio Fix Fluid Foundation. This is one that I have loved on and off for years. I've had this love-hate relationship with this foundation, and relatively recently I think I found the secret to how to apply it, and it's been my favorite foundation to use since then. So I want to kind of talk you guys through my application process, a little bit of my morning routine. If you haven't already seen the morning routine I posted in November, I'll go ahead and have a link to that down below because that shows my skincare routine and things like that. I've already done all of that today. I'm not going to repeat myself. So I'm going to show you guys my morning foundation routine, but I'm also going to do check-ins in this video. So you guys are going to hang out with me throughout the day. I'm going to show you guys how the foundation's wearing throughout the day. And at the end of a 10-hour wear test, I'm going to do a final touch-up and see, how good can we make this foundation look after hours and hours and hours of wear. I want to actually make this a feature for my channel this year, reviewing foundations, and I want to specifically focus on brands that have an inclusive shade range, because I know the topic of brands that don't have inclusive shade ranges is becoming a really big topic, and I'm so glad this is finally coming out. There are so many brands that I've loved for years because they have had extensive shade ranges, and so I want to celebrate the ones that have been doing it right for a long time. This foundation has 42 shades, and they're broken into 4 different color categories. Studio Fix Fluid has quite a reputation that precedes it. It's been around for a very long time. It's been around since I first started buying MAC. It has medium to full coverage, and you really can adjust it. And I think when I first started wearing makeup, I really didn't have a handle on using a light hand and not just jamming tons of product on and then trying to blend it out. Definitely keep in mind how much of the product you're applying. If you're applying more than a pump of foundation, it's probably too much. I think that when this is applied in that less is more kind of way, oh my god, it's so gorgeous. It is beautiful. In terms of the matte finish claim, I've always found this to have more of a natural type of coverage. This was formulated before a lot of the super duper matte foundations that are popular now. So the formulation of this matte is very different from current mattes. I would call this more like skin-like, and I know skin-like is so overused, so I promise I will try to not use it for the rest of this video, but naturalistic finish. It looks not dewy, not super dry matte, somewhere in the middle, and that's the kind of happy medium that I tend to prefer. And the other thing is, the brand claims this has a 24-hour wear. I never wear my foundation for 24 hours. I never sleep in my foundation. I think it's really bad for your skin. Just don't do it. This foundation is $29 for 1 ounce, which is a pretty standard pricing amount in the medium to high-end range of foundation. One thing that irks me though is that this foundation doesn't come with a pump. It comes with a twist-off cap. You can buy the pump separately. It used to be $6 for the pump. Now it is $10 for the pump. This is the only foundation that MAC sells that doesn't come with a pump or a squeeze tube or some other delivery system for it, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. MAC, come on, man, just give us the pump. So before we get started with the actual foundation application, I want to show you guys the state that my skin is naturally. I only have my skincare on. I don't have any primer or anything else, and I have a direct light shining at me to kind of, you can see there's some shadows and stuff, to really get a good idea of the texture, because I want to show you guys the truth of foundation, how it really looks on real skin, not filtered, not with perfect studio lighting to make everything look blurred out and everything. This is just what my skin looks like for real. So we have some post-acne scarring. I have some textural issues here from post-acne scarring. Kids, don't pick your zits. It's not worth it. I have some current bumps and things. I have enlarged pores. I have some milia under my eyes, some discoloration around my eyes. And this is not me picking myself apart. It's just a factual read of what the foundation needs to cover. I have red marks from wearing glasses. I have a broken capillary over here by my nose. Redness and dryness here on my chin. I also have some texture here to cover because I need to shave my face every day. If you'd like to see a video on how I shave my face, I'll have that link below as well. Even with, the imperfections that my skin has, I do tend to prefer a more natural looking foundation, which means less coverage, which means we're still going to see some of this once the foundation goes on, and I'm totally okay with that. Okay, so with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. Today I'm going to be using the MAC Prep and Prime Skin primer. This is the first primer I ever used, actually, so it's kind of again, coming home a little bit. This primer has a very silky texture and these teeny tiny little bits of shimmer that add radiance without being shimmery and glittery. It does a really good job of smoothing the skin out without being too slickery or oily feeling or anything like that. And I will smooth that on all over. It is silicone based, so it does create a nice smooth texture on the skin. So I'm going to take 1 pump of this foundation, and this should be enough. Just this little tiny bit. You shouldn't need to use a ton of foundation. So what I like to use to apply my foundation is a stippling brush, but probably not the type of stippling brush you're thinking of. This is a traditional stippling brush. These were enormously popular on YouTube several years ago. I really don't understand why. I was never particularly fond of them. I never really could quite get them to work for me. This one from Smashbox is a hit for me. This is called their stippling foundation brush. What I love about this is rather than be banged off, it's a very rounded kind of shape, which leaves a more like smooth transition. It's incredibly soft. Like compared to this is much more smooth on the skin. If you look at the dead on, this one is a lot more dense. It's not as dense as a brush like this where it's so like opaque you can't see through it. There is a little bit of, you know, stippling action that's going to happen with it, but it's much softer, it's much smoother, it's much denser, and it just moves on the skin a bit better. So what I will do is just kind of boop, go in, and then I will mash it around on a palette. Now this is just like a metal petri dish kind of thing. You can use a plate, a palette, whatever you'd like to use. But what I'm doing is I'm spreading the foundation throughout the whole brush and kind of wiping some of it off because you don't need tons and tons of product. And what I like to do is go in first to places, let's zoom this in so you can see. Apply it first. Nope, it's still too bright. I want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so you apply this first to places that need more coverage. So for me, that's like my cheeks, around my nose, right here on my chin. And then I will go in and just start buffing that in. I'll kind of pull back on the brush at that point and just buff it into the skin. And you'll notice I did not like directly apply foundation out here. I will simply keep blending it out from the main place where I applied it. But I need to pick up more product, I'll pick up as little as possible, and again, I'll wipe it off. It's so important to do this part. This is probably the most important thing of the whole application, is having less product on your brush. And then I will go over my nose, which does tend to need a little attention from the foundation fairy, and smooth it out. Another thing that I really like to do is have a couple other little brushes on hand. So again, from Smashbox, this is their blurring concealer brush, and without any product on it, I will work that foundation into places like my nose where there's like nooks and crannies, and it's just too hard to do with a brush that's way too big for it. And I'll go back and forth, kind of apply a little extra and then blend it in. So this is the up close shot. This is the side of my nose where I've applied the foundation and the side where I haven't, just to show you, giving me a good amount of coverage. You can see there's like lots of redness and stuff on this side, and it's just sort of calmed down, and it just looks like really pretty skin on this side. I'm going to continue on this side again, starting where I'm the reddest, so this kind of area in here where I need the most coverage. And once I have almost nothing left on the brush, I do like to take it down my neck because my face is such a vastly different color from my neck. If I don't blend it down, it looks really weird. So this is what my skin looks like after the foundation, and you can still see skin imperfections through the foundation. I have not applied it in an overly cakey kind of way. Most people aren't this close to your skin with like a super HD lens, so they're not going to see that. Like when you see it from far away, my skin looks really good, right? So that's kind of my MO with that. Now I'm going to do my concealer. For my concealer today, I'm using the Wet n Wild Photo Focused Concealer. It doesn't have to be an all high-end face to look fabulous. You can definitely use some inexpensive products to make your face look fabulous. To set my under eyes, I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Universal Powder and a Beauty Blender sponge that isn't wet. I just like the texture of it for doing this. And then to set my foundation overall, I'm also going to use the Fenty Universal Powder and a big brush from Smashbox. The foundation at this point is actually set. I'm just using this to make sure it stays set, and so that when I go over it with any powder products, it's not going to stick on anywhere. I'm gonna run through the rest of my routine really quickly. Okay, so here is the makeup freshly applied with basically daylight. I do have a light behind me here that is lighting up my room so that it's not like all dark and tragic behind me because it just started raining. Can you guys hear the rain? I'll show you guys what everything looks like up close with the natural daylight. You can see there is, you know, there's natural texture. This is my skin, it is my face. But considering what my skin looked like before. I think it looks really nice, really fresh, really healthy, and it doesn't look like makeup-y. I want to show you guys that I filled in my little freckle guys. So I have a couple little freckles on my face, and when I'm not using extremely full coverage foundation, they still show through, and I actually like the way they look. I think it looks really natural and beautiful to have them showing. Pretty minimal. It just looks super duper natural. I didn't add any extra freckles that I don't have naturally. I just filled in the ones that were still there. So what I used to fill them in is this Blotting brow tint pen. It's a felt tip pen, and the liquid inside is sort of translucent because it's meant to add just like a tint to your brows. And I find it to be perfect for filling in freckles. So Mikey and I have a pretty chill day planned. I am going to mend a coat that a button fell off of. Very exciting. Well, I was going to do laundry, but now it's raining, so I don't want to deal with that whole mess. So I'm like, okay, I'll mend some stuff. I'm going to make him meatloaf. We had a recipe that came in our HelloFresh box. That sounds amazing. And then we're going to watch the Game of Thrones Season 6 finale and probably the Season 7 premiere because we were totally hooked on that show. It is awesome. Okay, it's been a couple hours. We're getting kind of hungry. We're about to start our Game of Thrones marathon, but first we need to cook something to eat. So what are we cooking today, Mikey? Meatloaf! Meatloaf! Our meatloaf recipe today is provided by HelloFresh. They sponsored this video, and I personally really like HelloFresh because it's a food delivery service where everything is provided for you in a recyclable box. I'm very picky about who I choose to have as a sponsor, and HelloFresh is a service that I genuinely like and we've used, and you know, we think it's really great and we wanted to share it with you guys. So today we're going to be sharing with you our cooking experience, but I want to let you know a little bit about HelloFresh as well. Everything is delivered to your house in a recyclable box. Inside your box, you'll find easy to follow recipe cards, even a nutritional facts card, which is really nice because Michael's diabetic. Thanks to HelloFresh, we find ourselves making things that we've never tried making before, like gravy from scratch. That was totally new to me. For Mikey and I, reading the recipe cards and trading off the duties made cooking dinner together kind of fun, almost like a date and not at all like a chore. We have the classic plan for 2 people, but there are other plans to choose from, like the veggie plan and the family plan with kid-friendly recipes like easy peasy ravioli gratin with spinach, thyme, and Parmesan breadcrumbs. Each serving is under $10, which makes it cheaper than going out for fast food and a lot more convenient because everything's already here. It's been really perfect for us right now because Mikey just had surgery in his leg. He can't drive anywhere. I don't drive, so getting food actually to our house has been a little bit of a challenge. So with HelloFresh, it's nice because you have all the ingredients that you need. It comes in a little bag like this. Everything comes with a freezer pack in it, so everything's nice and fresh. And here's the meat that we're going to use. So you have everything you need. You don't have to have any extra pieces. We've been loving HelloFresh. If you want to sign up, you get $30 off your first week with the code VINTAGE30. I'll have a link to that in the description bar down below as well. And thank you, HelloFresh, for sponsoring this video and hooking us up with meatloaf a la mom. Putting oil all over the pan because I don't like washing dishes. Not a professional chef, but I can make it happen.
Mince the garlic, but you were supposed to grate 1/2 of that. Supposed to go into...
Oops. Thanks, Grandma. Oh, that was satisfying.
That was. I'm just standing here watching that.
Wrong way.
I was like, damn.
Ooh,
that was smooth.
That was smooth.
Now you gotta toss them.
Salt Bay.
Lots of pepper. Because we are a pepper family.
I like pepper. Okay, babe, you ready to do the meat?
HelloFresh.
Half the time in garlic. You're just gonna do it with your fingers?
They're clean! We didn't listen because we like rough chopped onions.
Boom. Food Bay.
Oh god, those shallots, yeah, they are very aromatic. Woo! It really does like get right up in your nostrils there.
Yeah? You like that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I don't make gravy. This is exciting for me.
That's beautiful. Alright. Let's say we close up shop and
eat this. Oh my god, my mouth is actually watering. Should put that potato in my mouth. It's so good. Thank you, HelloFresh. This is delicious. Alright, Game of Thrones time. Woo! Okay, guys and dolls. So here is the next check-in. This is now, it's almost 7 o'clock. So this is almost 6 hours this has been on my face. So let's go ahead and talk about what it looks like. It's starting to get glowy, little, you know, sheeny shine on my cheeks and stuff, which to me is perfectly gorgeous. In fact, this is probably the best I think my skin has looked all day because it's super glowy. Now up close, let's zoom it in and get a look at what this is looking like. See what I mean? It looks lovely. Now, you can definitely see pores and things like that. I am human. That kind of thing doesn't really bother me. But it doesn't look cakey. It doesn't look heavy, especially in places like around my nose. It's a little bit dry, but I mean, that's partially because my skin is dry there. But overall, I think it's looking pretty good, and I do have some harsh lighting on me. Only one of my like lighting softbox I have plugged in at the moment is this one right here, which is lighting up the background. So what I have here are just desk lights, which tend to be a little bit harsher and a little bit more like a truer read on how things look. So what I'm going to do now is give myself a touch up and show you guys how I would do that. What I'm going to do is use some blotting sheets. This is from Dino Plats. They are like little, they're little sheets. There's a little like powder puff with a stick thing on them. And now you can see it just takes the shine away. I love using blotting sheets versus just applying a ton of powder to begin with, and I'm going to use a little bit of powder in a second here. But to actually blot the oil away from my face and then use it, now my face feels clean again. It feels, in fact, I really kind of almost don't feel like I need it, to be honest with you guys. I kind of feel like it's very comfortable, but I know that for the next several hours it's just going to get a little bit oilier, so I'm going to do just a very fine dusting of powder. I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty one again because I think it's fabulous. You can see very little of it is actually on my brush. It's just a fine dusting of it to take down any shine. Yeah, makes my face feel silky again. In terms of coverage though, the coverage is still beautiful. I think the trick with this foundation is to use less. I think a lot of the issues that people have had with Studio Fix over the years, well, it's twofold. There's some people who feel it's not matte enough, and I would agree with that because after a few hours my skin was glowing again, but I personally like that. So for me, it's like, great, that's perfect. But if you're looking for something super ultra matte, this isn't the foundation for you. I think I'd go with something with more of a ultra matte or a more velvety kind of finish. But if you want something that's very natural and very pretty, I think that this is a great foundation. What's going on? What are you doing? What's going on, little one? Do you want me to come sit on the couch with you again? I mean, oh my god. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this now that I've put on the powder. And I'm going to move my lamp so it's real harsh. Okay. And yes, you can see my skin texture. You know, you can see my skin texture. You can see that this is the real deal. But I think that it's still looking really great. It's still evening me out. My skin looks beautiful. The dog just ditched me. He's just a little bit antsy for a mama cuddle. So I'm going to go cuddle my dog and I will check in with you guys and see how this is progressing in a couple of hours. Okay guys, it's now midnight, which means I've had this foundation on now for 11 hours? Something like that. I've kind of lost track of time, but it's been a long day. Lots of Game of Thrones. But in all seriousness, I'm really impressed with how this looks at the end of the day. Let's go ahead and zoom it in so you guys can see. Places like my nose, yes, it's a bit dry, but I mean, that's just my nose. And around here, my concealer definitely could use it being touched up, but that's really the only thing that I'm seeing that's like really a call out that doesn't look as fresh as when I first put it on. You know, my skin is looking relatively glowy, but it's not overly oily or anything. Now, if I were actually to be going out at the end of the day, I would add a little concealer under my eyes, which are super dry right now. I really need to take these contacts off. My eyes are super dry too, so this is pretty uncomfortable, but I'm gonna pull through for you guys. I decided not to wear my glasses today because I didn't want them to interrupt the foundation here at my nose. And my eyes are so dry, I'm like dying to take these contacts off. And then what I would do is use that same sponge from earlier to set underneath the eye. And then go around without any product, like extra product on the sponge, and absorb the excess. You can also just use the, you can so easily just use the blotting papers that I used earlier. And then to revive the high five on my face, especially since redness is the main thing that comes out, I'm going to use this Pop Beauty Even Out powder because it has just a slightly yellow tint. It's a really good dupe for the Hourglass. I think it's Diffused Light. It's the one that has a yellow tone. There's a few other brands that have something like that, and you can really see that just takes down shine without adding texture. The same deal for Reviving Blush. I'm not going to pick up any extra product, but there's like a little bit of color left on the blush brush from earlier, and just use that to bring back the blush. If you wanted to apply more, of course, you definitely could. But for me, this is more about just trying to make your makeup that's been on for a few hours look good again. So again, one last zoom in. And let's go ahead and move this to get the harshness going on. So after 11 hours, I can say that I am very, very impressed with this now that I've really taken it for a test drive. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I've been using this foundation a lot lately once I sort of figured out the secret to it, which is to just use less. Only real complaint about this is that it doesn't come with the pump, that you have to buy it separately. I think that's kind of messed up, you know, like all the other foundations from MAC come with some sort of delivery system or some sort of pump. And it's like, dude, it's 2018. You've been selling this foundation for decades. Like, can we get a pump? I love this foundation. It's very natural looking. This is definitely one that will be a go-to for me when I want that more natural kind of look, which is typically what I like these days. I don't like a super duper mega full coverage foundation because I just don't think that it looks very youthful. I think that at a certain point as we age, if you keep trying to go for that super masked out, super perfected look, it doesn't always look right, and it can end up looking cakey because it's just too much. And really, when we look at youthful skin, we see slight, you know, imperfections, but it looks beautiful and glowing, and that's my goal, and that's what I get with this foundation, so I'm quite happy with it. Thank you guys so much for watching this wear test. I feel really confident now because I knew that I liked it, and I knew that whatever I was doing that was new with it was working, but I wanted to really put it to the test, and it was really nice to see this throughout the course of the day. You know, I cooked, walked the dog, gave the dog a bath, so I did some steamy activities as well, and it still is looking good. This is great. So anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video. I might be vintage or tacky. Just be your own kind of beautiful. See you, bye.